Welcome, sir.
Now it is over to you. You can continue.
Okay, sir. Good evening, dear learner. You are having your class from Comparative Politics, paper 2. And ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ ଶୁଭୁଛି କିରେ? Am I audible to you?
Yes, madam, audible.
Okay, sir. So I choose one more important topic that is from Unit 23, and it is in Comparative Politics, your book 2, that is your interest group, pressure groups, and lobbying. So before we proceed about this topic, so you have to know about what are the different questions and the important questions that will come in your examinations. The first thing is that what do you mean by interest group, and what are the different techniques that are used by the interest groups, and is there any differences between the pressure groups and interest groups, and the third may be the role and the functions of the pressure groups or interest groups. So for your convenience, I have to start the definitions, meaning of interest group, to the development of interest groups in the different country. Then after, we have to proceed about the role and functions of interest groups. Then at last, the importance and merits and demerits of the interest groups and the techniques of interest groups. So dear students, be prepared for pressure groups or interest group chapter. So as we know that there are a varying differences in between that the pressure groups and political parties. So most of the students are confused that whether the pressure groups are the synonymous or political parties or not. But political party is a generic party or a generic topic. It is an organized group of people who seek popular support to govern a country, while the pressure groups is an unison of like-minded persons to enhance their positions and power, to gain recognitions and legitimizations and realizations of their specific interest. What is the differences in between though? The first thing is called as that inside the political party there is no like-minded person, or maybe called as that the specific interest invest persons are there inside the political parties. The members are in their interest different from one to another, while in the case of the pressure groups the members are having same interest, and they try to recognize their interest, legitimize their interest by putting pressure in the legislature. By putting pressure on the legislature, they can get the work what they want to do. And thirdly, any collections of persons with common objective to seek their realizations through political actions to influence the public policy without attempting to place its member in governmental capacities. What is the meaning of this? The member of pressure groups are not the member in the government capacity. They only influence the public policy, but they are not having interest to take a seat in the legislature or in the executives. They did not want to seek any type of post as a what executive or the member of the legislature in our political system. They are having one objectives, that is that they have to putting pressure upon the legislature in order to get the public policy for themselves. So it is called as that unison of like-minded persons. Unison means what? The similar, you may be called as that the quality. If you are having, suppose take for example the doctors associations, all the doctors are having the same professions, they are having the same objectives, and they want to achieve their objective by putting the pressure through the legislatures. So these are called as craftsmen, doctors, teachers. So different persons are there. They are called as the pressure groups. But the question is that is the doctor have any interest to seek power in the political system? No. Only the member of political party, they want to get a seat in the what? In the legislature or in the political system arena. So this is the basic difference. Then in our second definitions, we can say about what are the different definitions of the pressure groups. So I will choose only 3 or 4 definitions, and the rest of the definition I have to left. So the first definitions that was given by your Almond and Powell, who says that the pressure groups is the process by which individual and groups make demands upon the political decisions maker. The pressure groups is the process. It is only a process by which the individual and groups putting the pressures upon the decisions maker to get the interest into their own. जो इंटरेस्ट तांको जो काम पाई से माने करंती से कामटा को निज आड़ को करिया पाई से माने दे आर पुटिंग द प्रेशर अपॉन द गवर्नमेंट. According to David Truman, pressure groups are attitude groups that make certain claims upon other groups in the society. They are called as that attitude groups. Attitude groups means what? That type of the groups, they have to cooperate with other groups in order to get their objective or themselves, to satisfy their objective. The thirdly, Fisher and Levine, he says that any interest group is a collection of individuals who try to realize their common objective by influencing the public policy. So first of all, what do you mean by a public policy? The policy that are geared for the interest of the public, that is called as that the public policy. So where the public policy is generated? The public policy is generated by the demands of the public. जेतेबेले गोटे तमे पब्लिक अछंती पब्लिक रो किछि जेतलो प्रॉब्लम हैला से दे वांट सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ पॉलिसी इन फेवर ऑफ देम. So in order to get the policy in favor of them, so these policies should be amended in the legislature, and the amendment procedures can be gone only by putting pressure or by getting lobby through the pressure groups. If the pressure groups putting pressure upon the policy, then what will happen? The policy become a legislation. So here what will happen? It says that any interest group is a collection of individuals who try to realize their common objective by influencing the public policy. So among these 3 definitions, the most important thing is that the main objective of pressure group is that they have to putting the pressure upon the government in order to get the interest towards themselves. ताकि निजर इंटरेस्ट को सैटिस्फाई करिया पाई जेतेबेले गवर्नमेंट ऊपर प्रेशर पकांदे, that is called as that type of pressure groups. Then we have to go about the development of pressure groups. But I took this because what happened in your syllabus, in your IGNOU syllabus, there was no development of pressure groups in your IGNOU syllabus or in your IGNOU your notes. But just for convenience or understanding, I just add this slide. Okay. So when the pressure group has been started, and which country has started your group that is called as pressure groups? The United States of America is the first country which has started the pressure group policy during the period of 1950. So before that, what will happen? There was no pressure groups was there. So here what will happen? In country, there are different type of the rulers are there. They are called as that either the totalitarian ruler or maybe called as that your autocratic rulers are there. So when the peoples are inside a political systems, they become organized, they become corporate, they become urbanized, and they become educated. So they want certain type of issues in favor of them. So in order to want certain type of issue in favor of them, they form certain type of organized group, and that groups become the pressure groups in the coming scenario. किछि लोक ऑर्गेनाइज हेले, एजुकेटेड हेले, अर्बनाइज हेले, एई लोक माने मिसिकरी कोन करले गवर्नमेंट ऊपर प्रेशर पकेबो चाहेले, and from that what will happen? The period of pressure group has been started. So here the policy of the pressure groups that was started in United States of America in between 1950 to 1960. Then in the next slide, that is the first questions, that whether there is any differences between the pressure groups or interest group, or both are the synonyms with one to another. Some says that there is no basic difference in between the interest groups and pressure groups. Interest groups are the synonyms of the pressure groups. Some author says that just like your United States Americans, your scholars, they says that there is a basic differences in between the pressure groups and the interest groups. They says that that are organized for the purpose of political lobbying. Which one? The pressure groups. The pressure groups are organized for the purpose of political lobbying. When there is lobbying, lobbying means what? That is called as that motivating a persons to do certain work in favor of them. This is a type of skill. Okay, so here pressure groups means that are organized for the purpose of political lobbying. So here, what do you mean by interest groups? Interest groups means what? That the group that are work for their specific interest. So what will happen? There is a conflict in between the interest groups and the pressure groups. So I can say that the interest groups is called as a generic topic and pressure groups is called a specific topic. It means that first of all, there is the interest groups, a group that are organized having certain type of interest, unionization of individual interest with one to another among the group, and they try to get their interest in favor of them. So at the initially it was an interest groups, but at that time when they were putting the pressure upon the government, they become the pressure groups. So all pressure groups are interest groups, but not in all interest groups are pressure groups. Understood? Right, students? Interest groups can be converted to pressure groups when the group put pressure upon the government in favor of their policy or in order to get the policy in favor of them. So these are what? There is a basic differences between the interest and pressure. So when there is the same unionizations of individual with specific interest, maybe the interest of their professions, of their interest of their occupations, or maybe religious interest, or maybe sectarian interest, whatever may be. So these are called as interest. But when this interest converted to or maybe pressurize the group to putting pressure upon the legislatures to get the work done, that becomes called as the pressure groups. So in Indian political systems, there is no basic differences between the pressure groups and the interest groups. But generally, or maybe called as literally, the pressure groups is the subset of interest groups. Any doubt, student? Okay. Then pressure groups and political party. Do you have any differences in between the political parties and pressure groups, or both are similar? It means that what is the meaning of political party? The same meaning is applicable to pressure groups or not? Definitely no. Why? There are certain differences in between the pressure groups and political parties. The first one is called as that the permanence. What do you mean by permanence? In terms of permanence, political parties tends to be more permanent and industrialized than the pressure groups. What do you mean by this? It means that the political party have different ideologies, different type of interest, different type of issues, and different type of policies are there. So the political parties, while they came to the legislature, they have to retain there till all the ideologies they have to fulfill. So it means that what? Whether the party is in power or not, the political party should be there in the legislatures. So this one, it is called as that it is a permanent. In this category, what will happen? It may be called as that the political parties are permanent in its level. But here, in the case of your what? In the case of your pressure groups, the pressure groups are, what do you mean by called is that? The pressure groups are having the short-term ideologies. They are they are not permanent. What they are called is that the temporary. They have only one basic interest, and if their interest is fulfilled, then what will happen? There will be no pressure groups exist there. So in terms of the permanence, what will happen? The political parties tends to be more permanent and institutionalized than pressure groups. While the political party are invariably concerned with a large number of issues. The political parties are invariably concerned with a large number of issues, broader programs, broader ideologies, and what will happen? And in relations with the pressure groups are more temporary. They are not institutionalized. They are not having the ideology or the permanence ideology. So if the specific interest of the pressure group was fulfilled, then what will happen? There will be no pressure groups in future. So there is the basic differences in between the permanence natures. Then in the second category, we can say that the what is the basic differences while putting the pressures. In a case of the putting pressure, the pressure groups exert the pressures upon the government to exert influences the policy towards himself. While, in other words, the goal of the pressure groups is to satisfy its member through political pressure resulting in a policy outcomes. So it means what? While putting the pressure, the political party does not put pressure upon the government policies. But the pressure groups putting pressure upon the government policy in order to make the policy towards himself. Why? Because in order to satisfy the interest of its members through different type of realizations, through different type of resolutions, through different type of legitimizations. Pressure groups represent, because the pressure groups represent homogeneous interest seeking influence. What do you mean by the homogeneous interest seeking influence? It means that all the people are having the same interest. Suppose take for example your chambers of commerce. Okay, these people having the same interest. They want certain profit in their area. So let's take for another example of another interest group that may be called as the business groups, or may be called as the traders groups, or may be called as the teachers groups. So any teachers, they are in your high school, or maybe primary schools, or any schools, they are become the member of the teachers associations. Just like it may be called as that your lectureship associations, or may be called as the school associations. So there are different type of association. All Odisha School Association is also there. All Odisha Teachers Association is there. So these associations of the peoples are having homogeneous interest. What do you mean by homogeneous interest? It means that if the interest of one member of that group is inflicted, then what will happen? The rest of the members, they have to raise certain type of issues in favor of the government to make it happen. So this is called as that the homogeneous interest groups. But in the case of the political party, they are not having any type of homogeneous interest, but they are called as heterogeneous interest peoples. What do you mean by heterogeneous? They are having the variety of interest. One interest is similar, that is called as that to win in the elections. For the rest of your interest, your members, they want to take a seat in the center. Some want to be the chief minister of some state. So these are what will happen. They are having the same. They are having the heterogeneous interest peoples. Then the third point is called as that the political party is a bigger organization committed to certain principle and program in a political system, while pressure group pretending to alienate from politics. Political party is a bigger organization, and its main principles and its main policy is that to do politics in a political systems. But in the case of the pressure groups always wants to make it aloofness from politics. Maybe the center politics, or maybe from the regional politics. Then in the case of the political involvement, the pressure groups, in the case of the political involvement, they are two in category. One is called as that the promotive, and the second one is called as that protective. The group that promote the interest of the members' interest, that is called as that a promotive group, and the group that protect the interest of the members group, that is called as protective group. So as a student of your comparative politics, so we should know that these are the basic differences between the pressure groups and political party. First of all, permanence. Permanence means what? Once the interest is satisfied, once the motto of the interest groups is satisfied, then there will be no group. There will be no interest groups in the political system. But in the case of the political party, is they are having the more ideology, they are having the more ideology, more programs, more, there are different type of your there are different type of larger number of issues. So what will happen? So they are called as that the permanence in character. Once these issues has been fulfilled, another issues will be crop up. So here there is the case of one issue, but here there is the case of the multifarious issues. In the case of putting pressure, the political parties never putting pressure upon the legislatures to get the what to make a lobby. The political party only make certain type of horse trading, that is called as ghoda bepar. In Odia, that is called as ghoda bepar. If the party's interest is not satisfied, then the member will exit the party and they will rejoin in another political party. But in the case of your pressure groups, they will not exit and they will not rejoin, but they have to putting pressure upon the government to satisfy its member through different type of your techniques. Then in the era of your interest, the pressure groups having the homogeneous people's interest. Homogeneous means gote prakara. But in the case of your political parties, the members are having heterogeneous interest peoples. And in the case of the size, the political party are bigger in organizations, but in the case of your pressure groups, they are smaller in organizations. In the case of your active in party politics, the political parties are more active, more prone to active, while in the case of the pressure groups, they are aloof from politics. Any doubt, student? What is meaning of aloofness? Aloofness means separation. Okay. Any doubt, student? Okay. Sanjay Kumar Raut पूरा बुझीगला. आगु को proceed करूची. In the next slide, we have to cover about what are the different features of pressure groups. Features means what? That is called as the characteristics of pressure groups. How do you identify that these are the pressure groups? The groups which have common interest, the bird of same feather can flock together. The bird of same feather can flock together. गोटे प्रकार पक्षी गोटे परथिया पक्षी सेतरो जानती से माने कहते गोटे जगह रे इजीली से माने अचीव करते. They can flock together. गोटे जगह रे उड़ी उड़ी से माने जानती. तमे देखथिबो migration of birds. So they are having one common interest that they have to go from here to there. So the bird of same feather can flock together. So here the basic what will happen in the pressure groups, the member of the pressure groups having one common interest. The interest means that what will be my interest, the same interest will be to you. More joda interest, the other member of the group having the same interest. Then in the second point, the pressure group play the role of hide and seek in politics. What do you mean by the hide and seek in politics? It means that the pressure groups never come in front of legislature. Inside the parliament, the group only the putting pressure behind the ruler or maybe the oppositions. But the group never come in front of the parliament. So this is what this is called as that. They are playing the role of the hide and seek. Hide and seek means what? That is called a chupa chupi. तमे जेतरो पिला दिने जेतरो थिबो सेतरो गोटे खेल चला हमर छुपा छुपी खेल. तमे धरले मु तापर चोर हेबी, तमे चोर हेले मु तापर तमु गोडेबी. Okay, so this is type of what that is called as that hide and seek. The persons never come in forefront, but he will do everything. Then the pressure groups are the part of the political process of a country. Without the pressure groups, the political process cannot run. So it is called as that the part of the political process of a country. There is the requirement of the pressure groups. Although we are having the political parties, the political party, what is the main motto of political party? Only to win the elections, to capture the seat, and to run the government for more than 5 years. More or less 5 years, not more than, but more or less 5 years. But in the case of the pressure groups, their main motive is not to capture the power, capture the seat, or to run the government. But they want what? They want to be an important part in the political process of a country. They want to be an important part to influencing the public policy, to influence the public policy in favor of the public, in favor of the group, in favor of their what? The party members. Then they try to strengthen or change the directions of the government policies. Sometimes what will happen? The government do the public policy in favor of some capitalist person, or maybe in some favor of some rich person or some negative kind persons. But if there is the pressure groups, the presence of the pressure groups, they try to strengthen and change the directions of the government by putting the pressure of the government not to do so, by what? Applying different type of techniques. These techniques may be sometimes negative and sometimes may be positives. So these are what? These are called as that the picture of pressure groups. If we will look about the picture of the pressure group, we can say that inside a political party, the members are not having one common interest. But the member of the pressure groups are having common interest, and they want to satisfy their interest and they satisfy their motto. They will not come in front of the your parliament, but they will do the work or they do the role as a hide and seek manner in politics. And the third is called as that these are the important your part of political process, because without the pressure group, sometimes what will happen, if there will be no there will not presence of any type of pressure groups, then the country will be leads to what? That the country will lead to an authorized or maybe called as the totalitarian country. Then they try to change the directions of the government policy, because sometimes what will happen, the policy that was passed in the parliament, it always directed not towards the weaker section of the society, but it is always geared or directed towards the rich portions of the society. So through the your pressure groups, by putting the pressure, what will happen, they change the directions of the government policy towards what? The majority citizens. Next slide. So in the next slide, we know that we are having, there are the different classifications of pressure groups. So in the classification of pressure groups, Almond and Coleman, he has classified the pressure groups into 4 categories. These are called as that associational groups, non-associational groups, institutional groups, and anemic groups. Associational groups, non-associational groups, institutional groups, and anemic groups. So what do you mean by an associational groups? Associational groups are, they are formally organized institutions with a registered bodies having their constitutions of rules, finances, records, and address of the office bearers. They are functionally specialized and they articulate the interest of specific groups. Take for example the management, labor, and agriculture and business. What do you mean by this type of the support? Take for example the management association, All India Labor Association, All India Agricultural Association, All India Business Association. So here what will happen, if the government, if the selling of the crops was decreased, or if there is any type of taxations that was levied upon certain type of commodities, then what will happen? The business groups, they are raising their voices in against the government. If the price rate of the, or maybe called as the salary of the laborer that was decreased due to the corona or whatever may be, then the labor association, they will demand a fixation of the prices for themselves, even they will not do in these periods. And in the case of the management association also, if they are having any type of your problems and the hurdles in their members, then what will happen, they will took the problem and hurdles in front of the your parliament, and they want to put their policy and seek their policy legitimized in favor of them. So these are called as that their associations. तमे जिम देखिथिबो एग्रीकल्चरल एसोसिएशन एबे एबे इंडिया रे कोन हला ना सपोज धान गचर तुम प्रोडक्शन हला वर्षा हे गला ले धान गच कोन हला तुमरो धान बिक्री हे पाला नै कि मु काली देखुतली न्यूज़ रे जे मझिरे जो तुमरो जो ए जो तुमरो कोन से जगहटा तुमरो कोरापुट जगह आड़े जो जगहटा अछि सेठी कोन वर्षा माड हे कि धान फसल नष्ट हे जायछि मझिरे देखिथिबो चासी माने आत्महत्या करथिले बा सुसाइड करथिले ए सबु जिंस रे कोन होछि तांकर जो एसोसिएशन रहउछि चासी जाक जो मझिरे सुसाइड करथिले व्हाट वाज द मेन बेसिक कॉज बिहाइंड देम बिकॉज़ दे वांट द रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट they want the low rate of interest for the loan जो लोन ता ସେମାନେ ନେଇଛନ୍ତି ସେ लोन दार रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कम करिया पे ସେମାନେ चाहुतिले किबा देखो लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कोन कोन करछि सपोज दे विल अपॉइंटेड फॉर 6 years that is called as the NMR. So, okay, so after they will work for a period of the 6 years, they want to regularize their job, and their job, contractual jobs, they become regular in any type of maybe in any type of your organizations or any type of your industry or anything else. So by the group, only through the group, so they will they will put the pressure upon the your the parliament, or maybe called as that the legislature, that age we already completed 6 years, so our job should be regularized. Similarly, in the case of the agriculture, if there is the low production is there, then the farmer will put pressure upon the government. Upon the government means which government? The government that is running today, okay, BJP. So the farmer, they are putting they will put pressure upon the your BJP government to what, to free the loan, or maybe to free the your rate of interest. So हमें loan टा नहीं जो इधर तक free कर दियो कि बता rate of interest टा कम दियो. So these are called as that associational group. Understood? ए जिन छोड़ा को हमें कौन कोचे ताकू हमें कौन कोचे ना associational group ले हमें ताकू कोचे. एमानकर कौन थिबो, they are having certain type of associations are there. Each association having certain type of problems, certain type of grievances, everything is there, and they want to satisfy their problems and their hurdles by putting pressures upon the government. Then the second category, that is called as that the non-associational groups. These are the groups which are not created for specific purposes but are part of social fabric. Its membership is by birth, is by religion, is by kinship, or is by tribe. What do you mean by the non-associational group? So these membership, what they are, their membership is by birth, is by tribe, is by kinship, or is by religions. Sometimes what will happen, there are different type of, these are called as that sectoral your pressure groups, sectional pressure groups, not sectoral, that is called as that the sectional pressure groups. So these type may be called as that your church, association of church, the members of the association of the church. Sometimes some religious groups are there. They want to putting pressures upon the government that their interest was not fulfilled. So these type of groups, they are coming under which one? That are called as that the non-associational group. Then the third category, that is called as that institutional group. The third category, that are called as institutional groups. What do you mean by institutional group? These are the group of public servants to operate the system of governance. They have their existence inside the government. They manage to influence the decisions maker without protest. Okay, so these are called as that the group of the public servants. Take for example the bureaucrats, the nurse, the police, the judiciary, the defense. So these type of peoples, they are called as that the institutional groups. And You may be called as that the institutional groups. They are having they form these groups by staying with a long time. Take for example, or maybe the veteran unions, or maybe called as that your senior citizens welfare associations, or maybe called as that the civil servants society, welfare society. So these type of groups, they are what these institutional groups are formed by the people living together for a long period of time. Okay, so these are, take for example, senior citizens groups. All peoples are old. They are totally, they are past the age of the 60, 70 or whatever maybe. Okay, some peoples, they left their home, or some whatever may be the problems, they are inside one asylums, and these are called as that what that are called the old people's your asylums, or maybe the old people welfare associations. So these are having the certain problems with themselves. Then the next one that is called is that anomic groups. What do you mean by the anomic groups? So this is the most important group among the all the four types of group. So here the anomic groups means these groups are the more or less spontaneously created. It means that these groups are not organized. These are not what these are not these are not মানে হঠাৎ কিনা হব. Okay, so these are not plannedly created. Okay, these groups are spontaneously created, and the member of these groups and the behavior of the members of these groups are unpredictable, like an angry child. ଯେମିତି ଗୋଟେ ପିଲା ଅଛି ସେ କାନ୍ଦୁଛି, ତାକୁ ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ବୁଝିବାକୁ ଯିବ ତମେ ଜାଣିପାରିବନି ଯେ ସେ ଯୋଉ ହାତରେ ଯୋଉଟା ଧରିଥିବ ତମ ଉପରେ ଫିଙ୍ଗି ଦେଇପାରେ କିମ୍ବା ତମକୁ କାମୁଡି ଦେଇପାରେ. Okay, କିମ୍ବା he is doing any type of your negative your actions in against you. That are the activity you cannot be predictable. जो activity से करिवो से activity की तमे जानी परिबो. So these type of groups that are spontaneously created. So here the group members, these groups appear when normal means of expressing dissatisfaction prove ineffective. What do you mean by the normal means of expressing dissatisfactions? Sometimes what will happen, घरे देखुथबो गोटे तमर जदी किछि गोटे काम तमर फुलफिल हेलानी. Suppose take for example the activity of a housewife. Okay, जेतले तार हस्बैंड बाहर बुले नबनी किबा मूवी देखिया को नोनी किबा तार सहित टाइम पास करि पाउनी, सेतले से कोन करछि, सी देखुछि नॉर्मल मी सी देखुछि जेतले किछि दिन कथा होउनी, that was not effective for herself. तार निज पय किछि effective हेलानी. सेठी से कौन करिवो, she was creating disturbances by throwing utensils. Okay, utensils फिंगिला किंबा तार रोसई करिबा बंद कर दबो. एई सब जो नेगेटिव प्रॉब्लम्स जाको क्रिएट करूची, ए प्रॉब्लम जाको होची कोन एनोमिक ग्रुप रो. तुमको घर रो स्त्री रो ग्रुप कथा कहूनी, जस्ट I am giving here an example. So in these groups what will happen, the members after they feel that their problems, okay, their problems it is out of control, then what will happen, they lead to disturbances. The disturbances in the manner of demonstrations, assassinations and also hijacking. बेले बेले हाइजैक कर देबे, बेले बेले assassinations करे, हाइजैक करी कि कहिबे जे तमे जदि हमर कथा न सुनिबो ताले आमे प्लेन को हाइजैक करलो किमा आमे ताको मार देबो. तमे देखिथियो विभिन्न प्रकार तम रिलीजियस ग्रुप जाक अछि, जेमि तम राजीव गांधी रो केस assassinations हेतिला. मु तमर जो तमिल मानकर फेवरेट जकलानी बोली रिलीजियस ग्रुप्स रो किमा समय डेमोन्स्ट्रेशंस करिवे. डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन कहले कोन बुझु छ, टायर जळेबे, रास्ता घाटरे तांगे बम पकेबे, लोकों को जीवा आसबार प्रॉब्लम करिवे. So they will do those type of activity by which the government will suffer. Okay, so here what will happen, these type of group that are called as the anomic group. So besides the last group, the other three groups are they are well prepared and well organized, and they will be priorly organized and priorly prepared. But in the last category, that is called as that anomic group, that group is spontaneously created. Spontaneously created means what? All of a sudden it is created. And the group, the behavior of the group, that is unpredictable. You never predict the behavior of the group, that what they are going to do, whether they will going for the demonstrations, whether they will going for assassinations, but they want to do their work in any way. ମୁଁ କେମିତି ନା ହଉ ମୋ କାମକୁ ମୁଁ କରେଇବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି, ଏଇଦର ଭାଙ୍ଗିକିରି ଫୋପାଡ଼ିକିରି ମାରିକିରି ହାଇଜେକିଂ କରିକିରି ମୋର ଯାହା ଇଚ୍ଛା ମୁଁ ସେ କାମଟାକୁ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛି. So here we are having different type of the group. In different type of group, that are associational groups, non-associational groups, institutional groups, and anomic groups. So we are having the 4 types of group that has been classified by your almond and boil in the classifications. So the next classifications that has been given by Jean Blondel, and who classified the pressure groups into the following categories. Students, if you are having any doubt, then write down in my chat box. Doubt अछि तो लेखो, निश्चित भाବରେ डाउट ले करिवि तमरो. शुभश्री तम डाउट नै, आउ कार डाउट अछि? अच्छा, भाग्यश्री, भाग्यलक्ष्मी डाउट नै, प्रोसीड करिवि. Assassinations माने हत्या, a murder, association interest. अच्छा, सुमित्रा मुदुली ग्रुप, कौन ग्रुप रे? ग्रुप रे मीनिंग पचारछो. You are asking me about the meaning of the group. Ma'am, interest groups and political group are same. अरे बाबा, तुमको आउथरे नेबी स्लाइड को आगो नेबी. मना कली ना, political parties and interest group both are different. Non-associational groups. अच्छा स्टूडेंट. अच्छा मु ताले गोटे काम करछि. After completing my all slide, then I will attend your queries. Then your almond classifications was over. So he has classified your total pressure groups into 4 categories. Now the questions of Jean Blondel is coming. So Jean Blondel, he has classified on the basis of the formations of the your what that is called pressure groups. He has divided the pressure groups into 2 categories. The first category that is called as that community interest groups, and the second category that is called as associational interest groups. Okay, so on the basis of the which one, that is the formation of pressure groups, he has divided the pressure groups into 2 categories. One is called as that the community interest groups, and second one is called as that associational groups. So what do you mean by the community interest groups? The group that was formed to promote the interest of the community, that is called as that the community interest groups. Okay, the group that was formed to promote the interest of the community, that is called as that the community interest group. And in the second category, the community interest group again divided into 2 types: the customary groups, and second one is called as that the institutional groups. The group that follows the customs and traditions is called as that the customary groups. We are having different type of customs and traditions also. So we have to follow the different type of customs and traditions. Okay, take for your Hindu Mahasabha. Okay, Hindu Mahasabha, or maybe different type of your customary, your groups are there. Okay, so they follow the different customs and traditions, and these type of groups, they are falling inside it. The second category that is called as the institutional group. Here, the institutional groups are formed by people living together for a long period of time. ए ग्रुप रे जो लोक माने थांती एमाने कोन करंती ना बहुत दिन धरी गोटे जगह रे से माने रुहंती जिमि तमो मु कहली योर बुढ़ा माने किंबा विडो ग्रुप किंबा तमर जो तमर ऑर्फन चाइल्ड. Okay, so here the relations, they having a relationship in between one to another, and these groups are formed by people living together for a very long period of time. A group रे जो people माने थाते, they form their group through their what, their relationship, and the relationship is based upon what, their long ties. Long ties बहुत दिन तो रहतिया जोगो से माने कोन करंती ए ग्रुप टाको से माने डेवलप करंती. So community interest group is divided into how many types? Customary and institutional. Generally the group has been divided into how many types? Two types. Community interest group and associational group. Community interest groups again divided into customary and institutional. That group that follows the custom and traditions of the society, that fall in the category that is called as the customary groups, customary interest groups. And the group that the group that formed by the long association of the member, that they are living together in a specific place, that is called as the institutional group. Okay, so in the second category, that is called as that associational group. So in the second category, that is called as associational. Associational groups again divided into two types. One is called as protective and second one is called as promotive, or promotional group, or may be called as protective group. The group which protect the interest of the member. Interest of the member mane kono? If you are having any type of the group will give security to the member. The group will what? The group will give security. The group will give everything to protect the interest of the member. That is called as the protective group. The second category is called as promotional group. Promotional group is what? The group wants to develop or promote the ideology of the group. It pushed up the group to go ahead. That is called as promotional group. So these are the two types of group that has been given by the Jean Blondel. Okay, so these your classification was based upon which one? That is called as the formations. Sometimes the classification is based upon formations, sometimes size, sometimes nature, sometimes function. So Jean Blondel, he has classified the whole group on the basis of their formations, and this formation is under two categories: community interest group and associational interest groups. Community interest group is again divided into two types: customary and institutional group, and associational group is again divided into protective group and promotional. Any doubt, student? Jean Blondel रो किसी डाउट अछि? Okay. Then double group classifications of pressure groups. तमरे तीनटा classification तमरे इग्नोर अछि. Okay. So double group classification of pressure groups. मनोज महापात्र community. कौन community पचारछो? Community कौन पचारछो रे? Double group classifications of pressure groups. Your MC Double has classified the pressure groups into two groups. One group is called as that the exclusive groups, and second one is called as that the group that the Double has classified the group on the basis of the two questions. The first question is that whether these groups be called as that all the groups are called as that the pressure groups. Those groups are putting pressure upon the government. And in the second question, he has the second questions that was that whether the pressure groups are the officials groups or non-officials groups. So on the basis of what? On the basis of the use of the terms, he has many problems. He asked the two questions, and according to their questions, so he divided the group into two categories. His first question is that whether the groups be called as the pressure groups, which groups are putting pressure upon the government. And second question is that whether all the pressure groups are official groups or the non-official groups. On the basis of the first questions, what was the questions? The question was that whether all the whether all the groups that are putting pressure are called as the pressure groups. So on the basis of the first questions, he classified the pressure groups into two categories. And these are called as what? The exclusive groups and the partial groups. The exclusive groups and the partial groups. The exclusive groups are those groups which are putting pressure upon the political system. The exclusive groups are what? The member of these groups are putting pressure upon the political systems. While in the matter of the partial groups, the members are essentially set up to promote the interest of the members. Not they have to putting the pressure upon the political systems, but they are only formed in order to promote the interest of their members. So on the basis of putting pressure and on the basis of the promotions, the worker has classified these groups into two categories. One is exclusives and second one is partial groups. In the exclusive groups, the member has to put pressure upon the legislature to get their policy in favor of them. While in the case of your partial groups, the members are essentially set up to promote the interest of their members. And the second question is that whether the pressure groups is an official groups or non-official groups. So on the basis of official and the non-official groups, the group can be divided into three types. One is called as that the private groups, public groups, and pseudo pressure groups. The private groups, public groups, and pseudo the pressure groups. The private groups. The private groups means what? These groups are used for non-official group. These groups are used for non-officials. Public groups means these groups are used for official persons. And the pseudo groups means what? The member of these groups, they have to put the pressure not in favor of them but in favor of someone else. They will work, but they will not work in favor of them, but they will work in favor of some others. Any doubt, student? MC the worker, on the basis of two questions, he has classified the pressure groups into the following categories. The one question was that whether all your group that was putting the pressure upon the government are called as the pressure groups, whether all the pressure groups are the officials groups and the non-officials groups. Okay, all exclusive groups and partial groups. आउथरे बुझिलानी. So मु repeat करूची भल्लारे सुनो. कौन कहली? Whether MC the worker, on the basis of two questions, he has classified the pressure groups into the following categories. His first questions was that we know that the group that are putting the pressure are called as pressure groups. So his question was that all the group that are putting the pressures are pressure groups or not. His second question was that the pressure groups is an official group or a non-official groups. On the basis of its first questions, the group has been divided into two types: exclusive groups and partial groups. Exclusive groups means what? The member of these groups, they are putting pressure upon the systems or the political systems to get the public policy in favor of them. They have to put the pressure upon the political system to get the public policy in favor of them. While in case of the partial pressure groups, they are essentially set up not to putting the pressure but to promote the interest of its member. Similarly, on the basis of his second questions, that whether the pressure groups is an official or non-official groups. Again, it can be divided into two types: private groups, public groups, and pseudo pressure groups. Private groups means what? The private groups means what? The members, they are non-officials. The members are totally the non-officials groups. Public groups means what? The members are officials groups. Pseudo pressure groups means what? The members, they will work, but they will not work in favor of their interest, but they will work in favor of some other groups or some other members. That is called as pseudo pressure groups. So we are having three types of classifications: Almond classification, Jean-Blondel's classification, and the Dover-Gertz classifications. So your Almond has classified four categories of your pressure groups: associational, non-associational, institutional, and anomic. While your Jean-Blondel, he has classified on the basis of their formations or the factors that are responsible for their formations into two types: the community interest groups and associational groups. Community interest groups is again divided into two types. One is called customary and institutional groups, while the associational groups is again divided into two types. One is the protective groups and second one is called as the promotional groups. Pseudo pressure groups means बुझिलनी विश्वनाथ बोलो कौन बुझिलनी भाई चारि थर कहलेनी तुमको मते 5 मिनिट टाइम दियो मुझे पानी पीबी pseudo pressure groups माने कोन जो प्रेशर ग्रुप्स टा तमरो प्रेशर ग्रुप्स रा काम कोन हला they have to put the pressure on the political system to influence the public policy. जो पब्लिक जो पॉलिसी टा को इन्फ्लुएंस करियो चाहते that policy should be in favor of that group. किंतु ए जो सेडो माने जतिले सेडो माने कोन जो माने कि छद्मवेशी जोडा कहउछन ओडिया रे से माने कोन करछंती they will work but their work not in favor of them, but they will do the work in favor of some other pressure groups. Suppose tomar gote teachers group achi, okay, so teachers groups having certain type of problems with them. वर्तमान टीचर माने कहउछन हमकु दरमा ठीक रे मिलुनी, okay, so we are doing 24 hours work and we have circulated different type of PDFs, notes and everything to the students, and the government is not giving us so much salary comparative to our performance. Okay, सेमिति सबो लोक माने गोटे गोटे जिंस दाबी करन जो टीचर्स मानकर प्रमोशंस पाई जदि टीचर्स मानकर ग्रुप रे मेंबर कम अछि, so they will associate with other groups like that of lecture groups, so they will seek the help of the lecture groups, and by the combinations of the both the lectures and the teachers groups, they will put pressure upon the government to make the public policy in favor of them, by which in the legislations and enactment will be and legislation will be enacted that the teachers will be paid a salary of that much according to their performance. So this is what these are called as the pseudo pressure groups. They are not having any type of interest, but they will sometimes they will help you to get justice. Okay, Okay, they are having their interest, but sometimes due to the size, due to the formations, due to the ideology, one pressure group helps the other pressure groups. While the initial pressure group does not having any type of the interest, but they will help to the later pressure groups in order to get that demand, in order to get the demand in favor of them. So these are called as that the types of pressure groups. Any doubt, students? If you are having any doubt, then after completions of my total slide, I will ask you. Okay. Then the role of pressure groups. So again, we are coming under the role of pressure groups. So regarding the role of pressure groups, there are different types of what the role of the pressure groups in our governmental department. So what are the roles? The role are the first role that is called as the representations. Second one that is called as political educations. Third one policy formulations. Fourth one political participations. Fifth one policy implementations. So we are having what? We are having the variety of roles of the pressure groups. So they will do the role in the democratic systems. The first one is called as that is called as the representations. So we know that the pressure groups are very unique in a democratic systems. In a democratic system means what? The peoples, they have to select the leader according to the majoritarian practices. Majoritarian practices means what? The persons having the the absolute number of votes, then he can get elected. That is called as that is called as the majoritarian systems. जो लोकर अधिक वोट रहिबो से लोक कोन करिवे इलेक्ट हे जिवे. So after the election, only the citizens having no role to play. Their only role will come in every elections. After 5 years, they have to choose one representative among themselves. But then after, their role will be nil. They will not represent their grievances in front of the government. So at that time, the pressure groups was there who will represent the problems and the grievances in front of the government. So here it can be said that the key machinery of every political system is the pressure groups, because it represents the problem of the people in front of the government in the legislature. The next point that is called as the political educations. The political educations. What do you mean by the political educations? The pressure groups educate the masses by giving awareness about the public policies. It gives the awareness to the masses, and it gives the informations about the public policy to the masses. So this is what? This is called as the political educations. Sometimes what will happen, suppose take for example in New Delhi. So at the sometime in case of your religious activity, in case of the students activity, so in different type of your things was happening in New Delhi where the political system is disturbed. So at that time, the people can get aware through the pressure groups. They are educated through the pressure groups about the present political scenario. So here the pressure groups educated what? The citizens. The third one is called as the policy formulations. Policy formulation is an important role of the pressure groups, or is an important part of the pressure groups. Okay, so policy formulations means what? When there is a policy is there and the policy is formulated according to the dire needs of the citizens. Policy कहले कौन बुझुछ? Suppose तमरो वर्तमान पड़ेला पेट्रोल दर बढ़ी गला. Okay, petrol दर तमरो बढ़िला. There is a price hike in the petrol. Comment कौन करिवो? तमे संगे संगे कौन करिवो ना पेट्रोल दर जेतरे बढ़िला तमे कौन करिवो टोटल सिटीजन्स मिसिकी वी आर फॉर्म्ड वन ग्रुप एंड वी हैव टू फाइल certain type of what arrangement against the government जे आमे पेट्रोल एते पैसा में देई पारिबो कारण वर्तमान आमे समस्त कोन वर्तमान आमे रोजगार क्षम नुहे okay if we will put the pressure upon the government that don't make the price hike in case of the petrol, then what will happen? The policy is formulated surely in favor of us. Okay, सिमिति तमे देखो आउडे केस तमर जो गैस चूल्हा सिस्टम थिला सो सेटेन जिंसो जोडा गवर्नमेंट कोन करे केतरा पॉलिसीज टा करे से पॉलिसी टा तार फेवर रे करे जिमिति तमर मझिरे जोडा हेतिला दीटा छुआ रो अधिक छुआ हेले देन द पर्सन कैन नॉट कॉन्टेस्ट इन द इलेक्शंस एटा हेते पर अन्य पार्टी लोक मानकर अधिक छुआ थिबो ओके सो दिस पॉलिसी इज फॉर्मुलेटेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट suppose the ruling party is the Congress government so the Congress will formulate those policy that will benefit to all religions the Muslim the Christian the Hindu etc similarly the BJP he will formulate those policy only that will benefit only to the Hindu so policy formulation the government will make the policy but to influence the policy to influence the decisions this is the prime duty of to which one the prime duty of the pressure groups sometimes he will what change the decisions of the government and make the policy formulations then the next one that is called as that political participation in democratic systems where decisions are arrived by majoritarian representations people having little or no influence over decisions on the public policies. The pressure groups increases the participation and access to the political system and enhance the quality of democracy. Political participation means what? The people should participate during the public policy, the formulations of public policies. But in every democratic systems, the decisions while they are making any type of decisions or while they making any type of the public policy, the people were excluded. Only the ruling party, the opposition party and the pressure groups, they are there inside the parliament. So at that time, the pressure groups, they become the mouth of the common citizens. If you are having any problems, then they will speak in favor of them. So this is what this is called as that the political participations. Okay. Then the next one that is called as that the policy implementations. This is also an important the important concept of your or the role of the pressure groups. What do you mean by the policy implementations? Policy implementations means what? It put the pressure upon the government to implement the policy in favor of the ordinary citizens. That is called as policy implement. Policy को किमिति implement करिवो implement करियो कोन दरकार गवर्नमेंट ऊपर तक प्रेशर पकेबो तमको ए जिंसटा निश्चित भाबरे करिया को पड़ियो okay so in a democracy systems there is the role of the pressure groups multifarious representations means what it will represent the whole mass पूरा लोकों को बदला pressure group किया ही था we will not having any access inside the parliament you are not having any access to the parliament but the pressure groups they will represent your problems inside the parliament so this is what this is called as representations then political educations means what political educations means what it promotes the citizens for discussions for arguments for debates in a democracy. Take for example, Modi has certain policy in the external sphere, that is in the China era, in the foreign policy. So as a active citizen of India, we should having the debatable issues. ଆମେ ଆମ ଭିତରେ ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛେ, ଆମେ debate କରୁଛେ. That debate may be cast in the OTV or maybe Aaj Tak or maybe in some national your news. So anywhere is there. So by which what is there, through the debate, through discussions, through argument, we can gain certain type of political educations. ଅଧା ଲୋକ ଜାଣିଥିବେ ଚାଇନା ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଭିତରେ ଯୁଦ୍ଧ ଚାଲିଛି ନା ନାହିଁ, କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ନ୍ୟୁଜଟା ଲଗେଇବା, ନ୍ୟୁଜରେ କ'ଣ ହେଉଛି ନା ତମର ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କ'ଣ କରେ ନା ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ଏଜୁକେସନ୍ସଟା ପ୍ରେସର, ତମର ଗୋଟେ ରୁଲିଂ ପାର୍ଟି, ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ, ଗୋଟେ ଅପୋଜିସନ ପାର୍ଟି, ତିନି ଜଣ ବସିକି କ'ଣ କରିବେ, ଗୋଟେ ଡିବେଟ୍ ଦେବେ ବା ଆର୍ଗୁମେଣ୍ଟ କରିବେ. By which what will happen? They will provide the educations to the whole mass. Okay, then policy formulations. It will help for the policy formulations. The pressure groups plays an important role because it is believed that the political party cannot provide adequate representations for the full range of diverse interests, and because their key function is to aggregate the interest. So here the policy formulations means what? They help the decisions maker to formulate a policy. And political participations means what? As the citizens has little or no influence upon the decisions making, so the pressure groups, he has to participate in the in the campaigning of public policies, and it is a great help for policy implementations. So these are the role of the pressure groups. So besides these roles, again there are many roles of pressure groups. Okay, so I have divided the whole role into two categories. Some the pressure groups is beneficiary for the parties, and the pressure groups is also beneficiary for the society, because we know that the in between the parties and the society, the pressure groups is only a link of or the channel of link. For parties, it gives funds and resource. For the parties, it gives the funds and resource. It gives the political parties what? The funds and resource. Once the pressure group's interest is satisfied, then through the lobby or through anything else, it gives funds and resource to the ruling parties. Then policies feedback. It gives the party the good feedback or negative feedback. If its interest is satisfied, then it gives the positive feedback. If its interest is not satisfied, then it gives the negative feedback. Then it is a constructive criticizer. The pressure groups is a constructive criticizers. Constructive criticizers means what? It may be called as a healthy criticizers. The criticize, it may be a logical criticizer. There is a solid reason behind his criticisms. Then it is the only means through it is the only means through the political party can mobilize the supports and voters by the help of the pressure groups, because if the demands of the pressure group is satisfied, then suppose तमे देखिथिबो अंगनवाड़ी टीचर मानको समस्तको कोन कराला गवर्नमेंट रेगुलर कला, जो गवर्नमेंट रेगुलर करिथिबो से गवर्नमेंट को सब अंगनवाड़ी टीचर माने कोन करी वोट दे दे. नवीन पटनायक तमरो प्रति वर्ष को थरे 2 वर्ष ट्रेन दोची लोक मानको तीर्थ करिया पे, किबा गरीब लोक मानो 2 टंगा रे चावल से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करूची. जफल रे कोन हबो, जत्ति की वोट जाउची नवीन पटनायक रो पॉकेट रे, सेटा कोन तमरो ग्रास रूट लेवल रे पळोची. कारण आम ओडिसा रे 70% पीपल्स होचनी जो माने पुअर पीपल्स. तो ए जिनसोडा देखिया पड़िबो जे का थ्रू रे तमरो प्रेशर ग्रुप्स थ्रू रे गवर्नमेंट कोन करे सपोर्ट नि आ वोट नि. Then the next one is called as it is the link between the people and parties. It ventilates the grievances of the people and It represents the parties. ये people रो problem डा government आगे ventilates करे, people रो problem को represent करे, आ government रो parties रो information ना people को दिए. जहाँ पर कौन हो? It creates as a strong ties in between the people and parties. For society, what is benefit of the pressure groups? For society, it control individualism because a single individual cannot satisfy or cannot get return all his interest. तो तार जेती जो problem अछि से interest रो problem जाको गोटे individual केबे लड़ी परिबो नाही. So he required the number of peoples to take its hold or to counter its problems. So this is called as that the control of individualism. Pressure groups is a platforms where from this platform every problem has been raised. It is a grievance handling machinery. It is a policy criticizer. It transmits the public opinion. It is a check upon the elite rule. Elite rule means what? The rule of leader, the rule of authoritarian. It is a check. If there is a pressure groups, then there is no hope for what? The democracy cannot be converted into an authoritarian system. The democracy is there forever. So these are the role of the pressure groups in a democracy systems. Next slide, students. Sorry, जाओ तमरो जहाँ डाउट अछि मते पचारियो. एटी पानी पी दे. Then what are the techniques of pressure groups? तार जो pressure groups तार जो पॉलिसी जदि implement करिया बोले कौन techniques जगह से use करे. Among the technique of pressure groups, we are having the 5 types of techniques. The one is lobbying, strikes, bond, gherao, and demonstrations. The first one is called as that the lobbying. Lobbying means what? Lobbying means what? It is called as that a skill by which we can motivate the ruling party to what? To get the system in favor of you. It may be called as a skill or may be called as a motivational power. This lobbying has two sense. One is called as a narrow sense and second one is called as a wider sense. Okay, in the narrow sense, in the lobbying capacity, in the narrow sense, it says that the member on a large scale by outsider organizations. And in the wider sense, it says it an attempt to influence any organ or agencies of governmental department to realizations of their specific interest. Okay, so this is what these are called as lobbying. तमे जेतलो तमर किछि गवर्नमेंट रे तमर किछि काम अछि काकू लॉबी कहले कोन बुझछो काहाकू कहि किरी मोटिवेट करिके बा तमर रेफरेंस रे हो किंबा तमे कामटा कले मु जेमति तमे देखुछबो जडा जडा सुना थिबे sometimes what the people that the pressure groups they will appoint some member from among themselves to be what the member of the ruling party कि लोक जानी थिबो ता थ्रू रे काम करिबा किबा पैसा पत्र देखि काम करिबा ए सब जिंस कोन कहउछन दैट इज कॉल्ड एज लॉबी किबा रेफरेंस रे काम करिबा मु आपु जानची ताकू जानची. ओके, सो दीज आर कॉल्ड एज व्हाट? दीज आर कॉल्ड एज लॉबी. जेमि तमरो गोटे जगह रे काम होनी तमे हठात यू वांट टू डू द वर्क, so at that time exactly you have to give the references of some people that mu tar nati किबा mu ta jio, so easily the work will be done. Okay, that was called as lobbying. किमा गोटे जगह रे काम होनी तमे चेयर तळाडे किमा टेबल तळाडे पैसा देलो, you are giving some money, that is also a lobby. किमा तमरो गोटे काम होनी you will threaten to the person that if you will not do the work then I will do certain type of negative step in against you, and that step may be called as hijacking, kidnapping or anything else. So this is what this is called as lobby. So these are the techniques, the first techniques that is called as lobby. ତମେ ଯଦି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ତମର କଥା ନ ଶୁଣିବ ଆମେ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟକୁ ଏମିତି କରିବୁ, we do certain hurt to the government. So this is called as what? This is called as lobby. Then the next one is called as the strike. Strike means what? That is called as the temporary stoppage of work. Temporary stoppage of work means what? ଗୋଟେ ଦିନିଆ strike, ଗୋଟେ temporary stoppage ହେଇଗଲା, ଗୋଟେ ଅଧ ଘଣ୍ଟା ଘଣ୍ଟାଟେ କିମ୍ବା 4 ଘଣ୍ଟା. This is what? This is called as the to stop the usual work of the government. Okay, till the party what they will take the interest in favor of them. So strike means what? That is called as the temporary stoppage of work. And here it is a pressurized status on the which one? To the ruling party, to coerce the ruling party to concede its demand. Concede its demands means what? To consider its demands. It is a type of what? It is a type of the temporary shortage of work. The type of work may be 1 hour durations, 2 hour durations, 3 hour durations. And within these durations, they have to put the pressures upon the government to concede their demands. देखिथिबो कॉलेज रे स्ट्राइक हेला, गवर्नमेंट स्ट्राइक हेला, इलेक्शन को गवर्नमेंट मना कर देला. So that people or the students will do the strike till certain type of results will come in favor of them. मझे देखिथिबो तमर सब कॉलेज रे गवर्नमेंट मना कर देला, स्ट्राइक होबनी. The students union they do the strike. Student unions are, they are also the type of interest groups. They are not pressure groups, but they are the interest groups, because all the students are having some interest. So when the political your political system, or when the ruling party declared that there will not be any type of strike in any type of government colleges, then they will come for a strike, and that strike will definitely for 1 hour and 2 hours till the higher education ministers he declared that there will not be any type of your elections was there in any government colleges. Why? Because the students should not involve themselves in any type of party politics, because their major duty is to what? They have to what? They have to get the educations from the college. Neither they have to they burn your leg inside the fire. Then the second one that is called as bond. Closure. Bond means what? That is called as closure. Closure means what? It is more similar than the strike. तमे देखिथिबो चक्क बंद अख बंद. Okay, ता माने कोन? There is the bond of the transport. तमरो चक्क बंद होची, अख भी बंद होची. अख माने कोन? तमर जो गवर्नमेंट रो जो सरकार रो जो शासन कळ सेटा भी बंद होची. So that is what? That is called as bond. Bond is a type of, that is a that may be called as announcement given by any type of pressure groups or maybe the opposition's party, and they by doing this type of the bond, they will give loss to the government for 1 day or 2 days. जदि तुम चक्क बंद है, अख बंद है, गोटे दिन कौन हो गवर्नमेंट रो जो तार राजस्व जो आदाय करुच्ची से गवर्नमेंट राजस्व से पाई पारनी. That is called as bond. Then the third one that is called as that gherao. What do you mean by the gherao? Gherao means nothing. That is called as the encirclement, or maybe called as the confinement of employers by the employee. Employers माने के ओनर को किंबा ओनर को जेतलो एम्प्लॉय माने घेरी देबे, कन्फाइन कर देबे, ताकू चारियाडू जगी देबे. That is called as that gherao. Okay, so they did this for coercing them to meet their demand as per their satisfactions. As per their satisfaction, they force the employer to meet their demands, to satisfy their demands. Then the last one, that is called as demonstrations. Demonstrations is what? That is a negative, what? That is called as a negative your techniques. The demonstrations sometimes what? The persons they did the demonstrations by burning तमर जो देखिए जो पुतुलिका जो होचंदी स्टैच्यू जो तमरा जो आइडियल्स कथा होचंदी सो दे बर्न्ड द आइडियल्स ऑफ सम रूलर्स और सम रूलिंग पार्टी लीडर्स जो क्षुब्ध कहते जनता so that is called as what demonstration but strike is a what that is a positive बंद is also a positive तमे देखिथिबो सरकार बंद को सफल करंतु स्ट्राइक टाकू सफल करंतु पॉजिटिव स्ट्राइक but demonstration is always in a negative sense bada badi pitta pitti finga fingi so that is what that is called as demonstrations so these are the techniques of what that is called as pressure groups. Okay students, if you are having any doubt then ask me. So generally in your examinations you have to write pressure groups, your distinction between pressure groups and interest groups, then types of pressure groups, role of pressure groups, difference between political parties and pressure groups, and the last one is called as the techniques of pressure groups. Okay, if you are having any doubt then ask me, I am here. बुद्धिलनी रे मैम इस टॉपिक में इम्पोर्टेंट क्वेश्चन कौन अच्छा तमर इम्पोर्टेंट तमर जो इग्नो स्टडी मटेरियल जोड़ा अच्छी स्टडी मटेरियल इग्नो रे तमर डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चंस आसियो व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय प्रेशर ग्रुप्स व्हाट इज द क्लासिफिकेशंस ऑफ प्रेशर ग्रुप्स क्लासिफिकेशंस ऑफ प्रेशर ग्रुप्स रे तमे टोटल लिखिबो तीन जन जाकर क्लासिफिकेशन जोड़ा तुमको आलमंड्स रो डीन ब्लंडेल रो आ डबरगर रो ए तीन जन जाकर क्लासिफिकेशंस वन बाय वन तुमको लिखिया पड़ियो आ ता सहित तुम प्रथमे तार डिफरेंस ता दबो जोटा कि तुमरो प्रेशर ग्रुप्स और इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप्स और पॉलिटिकल पार्टी भितर कोन डिफरेंसेस अछि ना नै हला आ कोन डाउट अछि स्टूडेंट तो जनरली गोटे छुआ मते पचार थिला जे पॉलिटिकल पार्टी और इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप भितर कोन डिफरेंस अछि ना नै बोधे पड़े गला से अच्छा मनोज महापात्र तमे लिखिचो कम्युनिटी कम्युनिटी कोन मत पचारलो मु बुझी पालेन तुमको जड़े मते पचार थिला पॉलिटिकल ग्रुप नेम इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप्स एंड पॉलिटिकल ग्रुप माने कोन पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज आर कॉल्ड एज पॉलिटिकल ग्रुप्स इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप्स एंड पॉलिटिकल ग्रुप्स आर नॉट सेम बट दे आर डिफरेंट अच्छा कम्युनिटी ग्रुप्स कौन कम्युनिटी ग्रुप्स आई तुम किसी कम्युनिटी ग्रुप्स तुम कहनी अच्छा ये पॉलिटिकल ग्रुप्स माने तमरो जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज आर कॉल्ड एज दैट द पॉलिटिकल ग्रुप्स okay so political parties the members of the political party they are permanent in character and their main objective is what they want to capture the power in the center but in case of your pressure groups they are not the member of any type of political party neither they want to capture the power in the center they never contest in any type of elections so they are aloof themselves from party politics okay they are inside the legislatures only to put the pressure upon the public policy and they get the public policy in favor of their interest okay so when the group that are work for satisfying their interest only their interest this group is called as the interest groups but sometimes when they have to put the pressure upon the what the government that is called as that the pressure groups okay so here the pressure groups it may be called as that the subgroup of the interest groups. Initially, it was a interest groups, but when it put pressure upon the government, it becomes a pressure groups. So it can be said that the all pressure groups are interest groups, but all interest groups are not pressure groups, because every interest group cannot put pressure upon the what the public policies. So when they put pressure upon the public policy, it become the pressure groups. Any doubt, students? ଆଉ କିଛି doubt ରହିଲା? मैम इस टॉपिक में important question कौन कहते କହିଲି ତାଙ୍କୁ important questions? Oh मैम audio is not clear. कौन audio clear नहीं रे? मत ଶୁଭୁଛି? धीरेन्द्र बेहरा अन्य ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଶୁଭିନି? भाग्यलक्ष्मी नायक ऑडियो क्लियर नथिला? ଶୁଭୁଛି ତ? ତମର ଧୀରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ତମର କଣ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ଥିବ, ଟେକ୍ନିକାଲ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ। ଆଉ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? ଜିନ୍ ବ୍ଲଣ୍ଡେଲ ଟା ବୁଝିଲ? ନନ୍ ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? କୋଉଟା ନନ୍ ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଟା ପଚାରୁଛ? ପିକ୍ଚର ବୁଝିଲ? ଆର ନନ୍ ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? ନନ୍ ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଛାଡ଼ିକି ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି କୁହ? ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି କିରେ? କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ ମ୍ୟାମ୍। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? ଡେମନଷ୍ଟ୍ରେଟର ବୁଝିଲନି? ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟ? ଲେଖ ଲେଖ, ମୁଁ କହି ଚାଲିବି। କିଛି ଯାହା ବି ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି ଫାଷ୍ଟରେ ଲେଖିଦିଅ, ମୁଁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ଡାଉଟ କଭର କରିବି। ଆଉ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ ନାହିଁ? ଡେମନଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସନ ବୁଝିଲନି? ବାକି ସବୁ ପୁରା ବୁଝିଗଲ ସୁନା ପିଲା ଭଳିଆ? କମ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ। ଆଉ କଣ ରହିଲା ତମର? ଆଉ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ କି? ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ୱେଟିଂ ହିୟର। ସୁଡୋ ଗ୍ରୁପ ତମେ ବୁଝିଲନି? କେତେ ଥର ତମକୁ ବୁଝେଇବି କୁହ? ସୁଡୋ ବୁଝିଲନି? ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ ଅଛି? ସୁଡୋ ପରେ ଆଉ କି ଡାଉଟ ରଖିଛ? ପଚାରିବ ବୋଲି ପଚାରନ, ବୁଝୁନ ମାନେ ପଚାର, କାରଣ ତମେ ୟୁ ଆର୍ ୱେଷ୍ଟିଂ ୟୋର ଟାଇମ୍। ଆଉ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ ନାହିଁ? ମ୍ୟାମ୍ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଟାଇପ ଉପରେ କିଛି କୁହନ୍ତୁ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଟାଇପ ଅଫ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ସ। ଆଚ୍ଛା ଆଉ କଣ ଡାଉଟ? ଏତିକି ଏକା? ଆଉ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ ନାହିଁ? ଆଚ୍ଛା ତମେ ଫାଷ୍ଟରେ ମୁଁ ଟାଇପ ଅଫ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ ଟାକୁ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଆଟେଣ୍ଡ କରୁଛି। କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ସ ଟାଇପ ଉପରେ ଯୋଉ ତମେ ମତେ ପଚାରୁଛ ସୁମିତ୍ରା ମୁଦୁଲି, ହେଲା? ଟାଇପ ଅଫ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ସରେ ଜେନେରାଲି ତମ ଡାଇରେକ୍ଟ କୋଶ୍ଚିନ୍ସ ଆସିବ। ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କଣ, ଆଉ କ୍ଲାସିଫିକେସନ ଅଫ ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ। କିନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କଣ ଆଉ କ୍ଲାସିଫିକେସନ ଅଫ ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ ଭିତରେ ତମକୁ ଟୋଟାଲ ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କଣ, ଯଦି ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କଣ ଜାଣିବାକୁ ପଡିବ, ତାହେଲେ ତମକୁ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସେସଟା ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ଲେଖିବାକୁ ପଡିବ ଡେଫିନେସନ ସହିତ। ଦେ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ ଆଉ ପଲିଟିକାଲ ପାର୍ଟିଜ ଭିତରେ ତାର ଡିଫରେନ୍ସେସଟା କଣ, ତାପରେ ଯାଇକି ତମର ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସଟା ତମେ ବୁଝିବ। ଓକେ। ତାପରେ ନେକ୍ସଟ କ୍ୱେଶ୍ଚନ ସୁଡୋ ଗ୍ରୁପ। ସୁଡୋ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବୁଝା ପଡିଲାନି? ସୁଡୋ ଗ୍ରୁପ କହିଲେ କଣ ବୁଝୁଛ? ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସର ମେନ୍ ଅବଜେକ୍ଟିଭ କଣ ହଉଛି? ଟୁ public policy, influencing the public policy in favor of themselves. ଆମର କେତେଟା ପବ୍ଲିକ ପଲିସି ଯୋଉଟା ଆମର ରହୁଛି ଲେଜିସ୍ଲେସନ୍ସରେ ଆମର ହଉଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଲ ବନେଇବା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ସେ ପବ୍ଲିକ ପଲିସି କହିଲେ କ'ଣ ବୁଝୁଛରେ ସମ୍ ପଲିସି ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ୱିଲ୍ ଇମ୍ପ୍ଲିମେଣ୍ଟେଡ୍ or that will made in favor of citizen. Okay, ଯେମିତି ତମର ସପୋଜ ବିଧବା ଭତ୍ତା ହଉ allowance to widow, ଯେମିତି ତମକୁ ଗାର୍ଲ ଚାଇଲ୍ଡ ମାନଙ୍କୁ କିଛି ପ୍ରକାର ପଇସା ପତ୍ର ଦଉଛି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ। ସୋ ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ ଗୁଡା କ'ଣ କରୁଛି, ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ ଗୁଡାକ ଯୋଉ ଏଇଆ କ'ଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ପବ୍ଲିକ ପଲିସି ହେଲା। ପ୍ରଥମେ ପବ୍ଲିକ ପଲିସି ହବ, ତାକୁ କ'ଣ ହବ ଏନାକ୍ଟ ହବ, ଏନାକ୍ଟ ହେଲା ପରେ ତାକୁ କ'ଣ ହବ, ତାକୁ ଆକ୍ଟଟା ଲରେ ପରିଣତ ହବ। ହେଲେ ଏଇଟା ଜିନିଷ ପାଇଁ କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ତମର ଯେତେବେଳେ ଏଇଟା ତାର ପାର୍ଲିଆମେଣ୍ଟରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ତାର ଭୋଟ ଏଗେନଷ୍ଟ ଇନ୍ ଫେଭର ଅଫ ଚାଲିବ, ସେ ଟାଇମରେ ସମ୍ ୟୋର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ ୱିଲ୍ ବି ଦେୟାର, they will put pressure upon the ruling party. Okay, କିନ୍ତୁ କେତେଟା ଗ୍ରୁପ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉମାନେ କ'ଣ କରିବେ ନା ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କ ନିଜ ଫେଭରରେ ଲଢିବେ ନାହିଁ, because they are not having any type of problems, so they will campaigning in favor of some other political parties. So these are called as that pseudo groups. Teachers group, for teachers group, doctors associations, they will merge. Suppose doctor have a coronary problem hoiche and the member of doctors they are less, so they will take help from the teachers associations. Okay, and by the combinations of the work of both of the group, they will put pressure upon the public policy. But to give the corona warriors 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs or 4 lakhs or 5 lakhs, whatever may be, after their death. So these are what? These are called as that the public policies. Okay, କିଛି ଯେତେବେଳେ ହେଲା ଯୋଉଟାରେ ତମର କ'ଣ ହଉଛି ଗୋଟେ ପାର୍ଟି ଗୋଟେ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଲୋକ ସେମାନେ ଆସୋସିଏଟ ରହୁନାହାନ୍ତି, ତାହେଲେ ସେମାନେ କ'ଣ କରିବେ ଅନ୍ୟ ଗ୍ରୁପ ସହିତ ଆସୋସିଏଟ ହେଇକିରି ଲଢିବେ। So these are called as that what? These are called as that the pseudo groups. They will not come in front of you, but they will do the work in favor of you. ଯେମିତି ତମେ ଦେଖିଥିବ ତମେ ଘରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କିଛି ବାବାଙ୍କୁ ବାର୍ଗେନିଂ କରିବା ଯାଉଛ, ବାବା ହଉଛନ୍ତି ତମ ରୁଲିଂ ପାର୍ଟି, ତମେ ହଉଛ କ'ଣ, ତମେ ହଉଛ ପ୍ରେସର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ। ତମେ ଚାହୁଁଛ ଅପୋଜିସନ ପାର୍ଟି କିଏ ହବ, ତମର ମମି ହେବେ। ତମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ବାର୍ଗେନିଂ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁଛ, ବାପାକୁ ଏଇ ଜିନିଷ ତମକୁ ବାଇକ୍ ଦରକାର କିମ୍ବା ତମକୁ କିଛି ଦରକାର, so at that time what will happen, your sister will be there, so she acts just like as a your pseudo pressure groups. She definitely tell to your father that if he will give the bike to my brother, then she mate neigri he will mate college ru gharu ku kima gharu ku college ku nebadia se kare. So these are called as what? These are called as the pseudo groups. Okay, acha more next question sala kono role of pressure group bujilo ne धीरेन्द्र एते बट्टा कहबे अतरे डेमोन्स्ट्रेशन होची गोटे तमरो नेगेटिव माने तमरो सपोज बंद हैला घेरा होला ए सब जिंस उडा कोन तमरो पॉजिटिव टेक्निक्स हला, किंतु जोडी तमरो डेमोन्स्ट्रेशंस हैला जोडी तमरो नेगेटिव टेक्निक्स को यूज करले जळा जड़ी पोड़ा पोड़ी मारा मारी जो जिंस उडा करछोदी दैट इज कॉल्ड एज डेमोन्स्ट्रेशंस। ओके, तापरे नॉन एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप्स। अच्छा तमे जो लिखिचो नॉन एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप्स कार लिखिचो आलमंड्स रो ना कार नॉन एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप्स जो पचारिचो कार लिखिचो तमर आलमंड लिखिचो ना कार लिखिचो लिखि कि दियो मते चैट बॉक्स रे। अच्छा मते पचारथिलो कि एटा मधुलिसा साहू नॉन एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप कहार पचारथिलो, इंस्टीट्यूशनल ग्रुप बुझिलो, नॉन एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप बुझिलो नै, ताले मु तुमको एटा आथरे कहि दोची आलमंड रो। अच्छा नॉन एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप एटा मु तुमको कोन कहली, these groups are formed with what they have to form. Sorry, these groups are created or they have to form by their birth, by their religions, by their kinship, by their tribe, or by family, etc. and etc. So, for example, the military clique did in Burma or Bangladesh, okay, by the death of their president, by the death of the Pakistan's prime ministers. Some groups are there. They are called as non-associational groups. They form their group or their members. They are formed through their birth. Suppose କିଛି ଲୋକ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯୋଉମାନେ religiously ତମର combined ହେଇଥିବେ. Okay, ତମର ଯେମିତି ତମର ଦେଖୁଛନ୍ତି ତମର ଯୋଉ Palestinian group ରହିଛନ୍ତି. Okay, so these are also called as what? That are called as the non-associational groups. Okay, so Palestinian groups रे जो माने कि मुस्लिम मानकर जो मानकर ग्रुप थिबो कि तमरे हिंदू मानकर जो मानकर ग्रुप थिबो, so they tie up with one to another through the religions. Sometimes the people of Pakistan, the person who took birth in Pakistan, they become one group that is called as non-associational groups. Okay, some peoples that are the family of some other nations, they become the member of non-associational groups. So these members, they are ଯେମିତି ତମର ଦେଖୁଛ different ତମର ଇସ୍ରାଏଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ ଯାକ ଅଛନ୍ତି କିମ୍ବା ପାଲେଷ୍ଟିନିଆନ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ ଯାକ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ଇହୁଦୀ ମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଗ୍ରୁପ ଯାକ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ମାନେ ନନ୍ ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ. They put the pressure upon the government. ଯେମିତି ଦେଖୁଛ ତମର ଟେରରିଷ୍ଟ ଆଟାକ୍ ହେଲା, ସେମାନେ କ'ଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଉପରେ ପ୍ରେସର କରୁଛନ୍ତି ସେଟାକୁ ହାଇଜେକିଂ କର କିମ୍ବା କିଡନାପିଂ କରିକି ଆମେ ତାକୁ ଛାଡ଼, ନଚେତ ଆମେ ତୁମକୁ କିଡନାପ କରୁ, ଆମେ ତୁମକୁ ଆସାସିନେଟ୍ କରୁ, ଆମେ ତୁମକୁ ମାରିଦେବୁ. So these are called as what? These are called as the non-associational group. Okay. ତାପରେ ନେକ୍ସଟ କହିଲା ତମର କ'ଣ ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ. ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ କହିଲେ କ'ଣ ବୁଝୁଛ? ଆସୋସିଏସନାଲ ଗ୍ରୁପ ବୋଲେ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଗୋଟେ ଡେଫିନାଇଟ୍ ରେକର୍ଡସ୍ ଥିବ, ଫାଇନାନ୍ସ ଥିବ, ରୁଲ୍ସ ଆଣ୍ଡ ରେଗୁଲେସନ୍ସ ଥିବ, ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ଚାମ୍ବର୍ସ ଅଫ୍ କମର୍ସ କିମ୍ବା ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ମ୍ୟାନେଜମେଣ୍ଟ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ସ, ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ମେଡିକାଲ ଆସୋସିଏସନ୍ସ. ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ମେଡିକାଲ ଆସୋସିଏସନରେ କହିଲେ କ'ଣ ବୁଝୁଛ? ସବୁ ମେଡିକାଲ ଲୋକ ସେ ଦେ ଆର୍ ଦ ମେମ୍ବର ଅଫ୍ ଅଲ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ମେଡିକାଲ ଆସୋସିଏସନ୍. ତାପରେ ହେଉଛି ତମର କ'ଣ ILO, Indian Labour Organizations. Okay, so these are the your association. They are formed in a generic basis. They are having their registered bodies. They are having their rules. The member they have to pay annually or maybe monthly for running of the associations. They are having one office bearer. Their executive bearers are there. They meet annually and they will discuss their problem with one to another. Then institutional groups. Institutional groups means what? These groups, they are the public servants. They are the government servants. They are the bureaucrats, teachers, institutional groups. Okay, doctors, institutional groups. ICE officers, institutional groups. So they have their existence inside the government and they put the government on the decisions making systems and they do their work in favor of them. এটা হলো তোমার institutional groups. তারপরে next one হলো কোন anomic group. जो গ্রুপটা কোন না suppose suddenly it is created. Suppose public in the certain public policy, there are certain type of policies the government has given to the people and that was not satisfied by the specific group. So if the decisions of the government is not satisfied by any type of specific group, then what will happen? The government, the group will demonstrate their dissatisfactions by applying different type of positive or negative means. This may be demonstrations, assassinations, hijacking. So these are what? These are called as the negative means to get the government decisions or to pressurize the government to concede their demands. These are called as anomic groups. How is it doubt? Role of pressure groups ta କହିବି ଆଉଥରେ এইটা বুঝিଲ pressure groups টা কেমিতি আসিলা pressure groups টা first United States of America আসিলা so before that 1950 there was no pressure groups was there so in order to the group to be a pressure groups there should be certain type of organized group of people will be there in any political system there should be any type of the organized group of peoples are there the people should be urbanized educated and they are having the social interaction with one to another ସେମାନେ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ୍ ହେଇଥିବା ପଡ଼ିବ ତାଙ୍କେ ଅର୍ବାନାଇଜ୍ଡ ହେଇଥିବା ପଡ଼ିବ ଉଚ୍ଚ ଶିକ୍ଷିତ ହେଇଥିବା ପଡ଼ିବ ଏବଂ ସେମାନଙ୍କ ଭିତରେ ସୋସିଆଲ ଇଣ୍ଟରାକ୍ସନ୍ସ ଥିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ by which these peoples can form one group that is called as the interest groups okay ଆଉ କିଛି ଡାଉଟ୍ ନା ମୁଁ ଆଗକୁ ଯିବି ଆଚ୍ଛା ଏଇଟା ବୁଝିଲ political party and pressure groups ଭିତରେ difference अच्छा मधुलिसा पूरा बुझीगल features of pressure groups बुझिल ए तीनटा क्लासिफिकेशन रहिला हमर ए क्लासिफिकेशन रे कोन कला तार मेन होची तार ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ फॉर्मेशंस माने तार तार फॉर्मेशन गठन बेसिस रे ओके प्रेशर ग्रुप्स तो दी बार विभक्त कला कम्युनिटी इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप्स एंड एसोसिएशनल ग्रुप community interest groups means what the group that promotes the interest or the satisfy the interest of the community that is called as community interest groups it has been again divided into customary and institutional associational group again divided into protective and promotional then the burger kon kadila depending upon the two questions one is what all the groups that are putting pressure is called as pressure groups or not and pressure groups is in official groups or non-official groups depending upon them the group has been divided into these types exclusive partial and on the basis of the second questions it has been divided into private public and schedule then role tomar koili kono representations political educations policy formulations political participations and policy implementations एटा डिफरेंट तार दीटा अछि गोटे तार पार्टीज पय कोन करे गोटे सोसाइटी पे देन टेक्निक्स रे लॉबिंग अछि स्ट्राइक अछि बंद अछि घेराव अछि डेमोन्स्ट्रेशंस अछि अच्छा एति कि ना ओटिके आकु जिबा पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के पढेबी सुमित्रा मतुली आगु जिबा वेरी गुड अच्छा political party what do you mean by a political party the people having the different interest what their main aim is to what their main aim is to capture the seat in the center that is called as a political party okay so we are having different type of party systems and among the different type of party system single party two plus system multi party systems so there are different party systems are there so depending upon the nature of the democracy and the size of the country the party has been divided into different category the peoples are opt to what if there is an unitary systems federal systems monarchical systems or any type of systems the people has to choose the party according to their what their types okay so if there is a monarchical systems there is a single party systems and the party is done according to hegemony means what one party is dominant just like is the Congress before the BJP come to power there was one party in India that is Congress party and there is the other party that is kuchandi kono choto choto party. But one major party is that is called a single party. Okay, so where there is the monarchical systems, where there is a hegemonical system of government is there was the ruling of one party system or single party systems. The second one is called as two party systems. Two party system is what? That is called as that the major two party. Okay, then the two plus systems. Two plus system means what? The one party make coalitions with other party, by which there will be the two plus system party. I will ମୁଁ ତମକୁ ଆଉ ଟିକେ ପରେ ବୁଝେଇବି just slide ଟାକୁ cover କଲା ପରେ. Then the next is called as that multi party competitions. In multi party systems what will happen? 40 seconds student. In the multi party system, in the multi-party systems, there are more than parties are there. तमर तापरे मु आसीली कोन सातोरी जियोवानी सातरी से कोन करथिले प्रीडोमिनेंट पार्टी सिस्टम मु जस्ट एटा तमु आज कोले ओवरलुक करछि नेक्स्ट स्लाइड्स रे मु पूरा बुझेबी से कोन करथले पार्टी सिस्टम को बहुत बार विभाग करथिले वन पार्टी हेगेमनी पार्टी प्रीडोमिनेंट पार्टी टू पार्टी मॉडरेट प्लुरालिज्म एक्सट्रीम प्लुरालिज्म एंड ऑटोमाइज्ड सिस्टम तापरे तमरो कोएलिशंस थ्योरी को चारि बारे विभक्त कराउछि गोटे टाइप्स ऑफ कोएलिशंस कहले कोन बुझो when there one party has not getting the majority in the center, then it has been formed or it has been make coalitions with another party to get the majority. तले गोटे पार्टी तार मेजॉरिटी नथिबो अन्य पार्टी को सहित से कोएलिशंस करिवो गवर्नमेंट गठन करिया पाए. Okay, ideology कहले party ideology कहले कोन बुझो there are different ideology the party are adopt in order to win the elections that are called as party ideology. जेमति तमरो मोदी गवर्नमेंट आइडियोलॉजी कोन थिला आपके बार मोदी सरकार. So different ideologies are there, they are adopted by different type of political parties. Okay, so these are the important your contributors to the political parties like your Rajni Kothari, your Doberger, Maurice Jones, Lipset. Okay, so these political leaders are there, they are giving different type of the types of political parties. In the first slide, why there are the parties are there in any political systems. If there is a cleavage or maybe what disturbances in between the owner and worker, state and church, urban and the rural, and the center and the periphery, then there is the birth of any type of political parties are there. Or if there is any type of regional conflict, language conflict, ethnicity conflict, if these things are happen, then there is the chances of the rise of the political parties. Students, mu tumku next class re mu tumku cover kare. Acha students, if you are having doubt, sorry la. तुमको स्लाइड टा सरीला परे मु तुमको सार को फॉरवर्ड करछि स्लाइड टा नै दियो. अच्छा बुझा पड़ला क्लास ना टिके डिफिकल्ट लागला.